Um, Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Discipline Therapy Podcast, special edition episode, actually, Masculinity Monday. See the background. We got a new background logo. Have a clothing line coming soon. So I'm gonna be on put to that. But without further ado, not gonna do my spill like I always do. Interesting topic today, exhilarating, invigorating conversation. My guest, well, my co-host couldn't be here today. I kind of told her just sit back. We're gonna be in the lion's den and you know, protecting her from that. Women don't belong there. So we're gonna talk about some stuff today. Um, and first, without further ado, I want to introduce my special guest. Appreciate you reaching out, Dev.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to
Um,
be here.
so you are from Ireland.
I am, yes.
All right, you're 20 years old.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So what do you so you reside in Ireland? Are you from there?
No, I wasn't born here. Originally, I'm from Lithuania, so Eastern Europe.
Okay, cool, cool. So today's topic is toxic masculinity and double standards. So before we get into that, let's talk about your history just a little bit. Um, what because I see your videos, they're very entertaining, and also a breath of fresh air. You
Hmm.
know, I've been trying to get a lot of men to come on the show. They might be a little bit intimidated or maybe my views are a little bit intense, right? So when I came across your page, you DM'd me and said you want to do a collaboration. I went on your page and I was like, oh, he's talking about some interesting stuff. I want to dive into his mind and see where this stuff comes from. So is this something that emerged this year, a couple of years ago? Have you always thought like this? Because you're very young.
Um, well, in some aspects, I've always thought certain things, like traditional male and female homes. I've always thought that that was the right thing. I always thought that I only want to be married to a virgin. Um, so those were things that were always on my mind. It's like I was just born with that. It just seemed right. But some of the other things, my mind has kind of changed over time, just as I've kind of learned about the world and experienced things for myself.
Okay. So, do you know that your generation has a different mindset? That's why I asked you that.
Oh yeah, yeah. My generation is fucked beyond belief.
Mm,
I genuinely feel like it's hopeless sometimes, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my page. I'm trying to tell people the things that they're missing and help them understand, like sometimes through a bit of a humorous sense. I know that some people kind of uh it goes over their heads when I do it that way, but it
hmm
makes people think about it more. Like it's easy when you just see a bunch of these coaches and people trying to teach others scrolling through Instagram. They're all the same. It's all the same bullshit over and over. So you kind of have to have something that makes you stand out a little bit.
hmm
Um, and yeah, that's why I deliver it that way. But I think it hits. It may not always hit the message home, but at least it makes people think about the topic, and it creates more argument, which which in my opinion is necessary for understanding and discovering the truth.
We're gonna get into this topic, man. First of all, I want to know why you want to talk about this topic.
Because I feel like toxic masculinity like doesn't really exist, like not in the sense that people talk about it. I hear the term thrown around a lot, but then whenever anybody's asked to define it, they have no idea how to define it. Or when they're asked like, hey, name some toxic masculinity traits,
Preach.
they're stuck. They have nothing to say because they don't really know what it is themselves. So I
hmm
that's one of the reasons I want to talk about it, just to tell people how it's not really a thing.
I believe you're correct. I recently had a workshop in in the city, New York, and I asked the audience that was there, do they believe in toxic masculinity? Everybody said yes. And then I said, well, the answer is no, it doesn't exist. So I believe toxic masculinity was probably created by butch looking, ugly women that men don't want to have sex with, women that's been hurt, scarred, feminism, male feminists. Um, it's a combination of all of those things. Toxic is something that is horrid. Toxic is something that is unhealed. Toxic is something that is bad. Masculinity is divine. Masculinity is manly. It is protection. It is provider. It is traditional. Masculinity is like godly. So it's as if you're saying God is bad because a masculine man, God is in him. We both think the same. So I'm just gonna jump into. I'm not gonna ask you why. They have an agenda to eradicate masculinity. Why do you believe that?
This is a very complex question because I think there's a lot of answers. It's kind of hard to pinpoint it, but I think like this might seem a little bit controversial pill, but
Let's go.
I feel like there's some kind of grand plan to separate men and women. And I think it started through the feminist movement. It just feels that way. Like seeing the things that they push, the agendas that they create, they don't make sense. They're creating problems where problems do not exist and problems that have never existed. And it's like they're trying to split us apart more and more. I think that's probably one of the reasons they can never define any of these problems because they don't know what they are. They've been brainwashed into believing them. They've been indoctrinated from a young age, and that's the only way that they can think. When you question why they believe certain things, they have no answer because they don't know why.
You're right. You're right. So I believe traditional traits of masculinity are protection, like I mentioned earlier, provider, strength, courage, independence, you know, independent thinking as well. You don't live in the matrix. And I always use that film reference because there's a scene with Neo and and Morpheus where he's like, here's the blue pill or here's the red pill.
Hmm.
And then, if you take the blue pill, you could just go to your regular life and then, paraphrasing, it's not verbatim, but it's just live us asininely. You know what I'm saying? Just believe whatever they're doing, telling you, be stuck in the whatever.
Yeah.
And then now if you take the red pill, dive into the rabbit hole, and then you become enlightened. So that's why I always use that reference. Most people are stuck in the matrix. Masculinity is leadership, assertiveness, confidence, competitiveness, exclusivity, dominant, and then the list goes on. So now that we kind of went through toxic masculinity and know that it's not a thing, why do you believe? Because I'm not going to ask you, do you believe masculinity is needed in society? Obviously, you do, because the things
Yeah.
that you talk about has to do with masculinity. So I'm going to ask you, why do you think it's needed? Because I saw a video where you were talking about fatherless households.
Yeah. Well, I mean, society is built by men, right? We build everything. We build the world for women. Without masculinity, there would be no attraction to femininity. And without that, there would be no reason to evolve as human beings. There'd be no reason to progress, no reason to make an easier living because we would have no purpose.
Masculinity is needed, not just because of all the stuff that you stated, but because I think that women constantly need guidance. And I've said in a post before, and I think you were liking it. I posted in my story how I believe women need supervision, and
Mhm.
I always say that because women can't think on their own, move on their own. They're inclined to just following things. So you might even see a woman who's book smart, she's educated, and she's a hardcore feminist. Like, why does she think like that? Why
Yeah.
does she think like that? Like, that's toxic to me. But why does she think like that?
Hmm.
Because if she thinks like that, like she's on a path to being lonely forever,
Yeah,
having a pet for a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? She's not gonna get with a real man, like a dominant man, because that's initially what she wants. So why does she think like that? Because she's following other things. She could be book
yeah,
smart, but she's not. She like because women just have, I believe, more follower genes. They're just inclined to following.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Especially not going against the grain.
I agree.
So when you have um masculine men who supervise women and they lead women, women are inclined to staying out of trouble. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, most of the troubles are started because women are following each other.
Yeah. So the thing is, like I always say that, like my woman, or when I had multiple, I put them to work, and I put them to work in a way where it's going to be conducive to them to better themselves and their lives. If you don't do that for women, you know what they do?
What?
They stay on social media all day, posting ridiculous selfies. They post provocative photos of themselves because they're bored and they want attention. They go out every weekend to the club and drink and party and shake their ass. They're, constantly making bad decisions when it pertains to money and shit like that. They think fucking shopping is conducive because they might be feeling depressed or whatever it is. They choose the wrong men. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? They're giving up their body. They're not valuing their body. This is part of fathers not being around. This is part of lack of masculinity. When you get a woman and take her under your wing, you are in a way becoming like her father or a father figure.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so this is one of the reasons why men are needed. This is one of the reasons why masculinity is needed, I believe. Now, when it pertains to double standards, what double standards piss you off?
Hmm. That's one that I have to think about a little bit. Um, One for certain is the court systems. They always cater towards women. Like one of the reasons we have such an issue of fatherlessness is not just because fathers are deadbeat, right? The other end is because women are divorcing them severely more often, and a lot of them don't want the father to see the child. They just lose the court cases, they lose the time. Even if a father fights, there's nothing he can do. That's one that I despise because they claim that they have no privilege and that men have all the privilege. Yet the way that it seems is that they have so much more societal benefits than we do.
Mm, I concur. I concur.
You know what? Actually, this is another interesting one that I came across. Right, and I have some experience in this because I did do a couple of years in college. I didn't finish college actually, but I did do a couple of years. So uh, I'm guessing that this is common knowledge that women tend to do better in academic studies than men, and they tend to attend and graduate college more often than men. Right?
Do you know why that is?
Uh, I'm guessing it's because they're agreeable. They're more
Yeah,
agreeable than men, so
it's
it's easier to
easy.
educate them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I find interesting that even in colleges, they still give extra support to women instead of men. If they graduate more often, then why are they getting the extra support? It should be men, right?
Hmm.
That doesn't really make sense. So I find that very interesting. They're giving supports to people who are doing better just because that's the current world agenda.
Yeah, well, I believe that because there's more women in this world than men, that's one. Number two, women are more consumers. About 85 to 90% of women buy things way more than men.
Mm-hmm.
They're more of the consumers, they're more of the cash cows. That's why feminism, promiscuity, like women behaving like hoes,
Yeah.
independent, I don't need a man, all those things. Um, it's a cash cow.
Yeah.
Escort industry, strippers, it's a cash cow.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a lot of men are funding this stuff. They're contributing to this stuff. So I never blame the strippers. I never blame the women who are promiscuous. I blame the fathers. Like if the fathers are
Hmm.
not around, like I blame them. I
Yeah.
blame if they had boyfriends and husbands.
Yeah.
When a woman is posting provocative photos online and she has a boyfriend, she's cheating in my mind. But why is her man not holding her accountable? He's saying he likes that.
Hmm.
Do you believe that? I'm talking to you.
So
Do
sorry,
you believe
could you repeat that?
do you believe if a man is with a woman and she posts provocative photos online, perhaps her butt cheeks, cleavage, I'm in a bikini today, whatever face ass facing the camera, that
Hmm.
the man that she's with or men who allow them to do this, husbands, boyfriends, like that.
No, I mean they shouldn't. If you're a masculine man, you should be possessive of your woman. You shouldn't want her showing off to other men.
Why do you believe they allowed these women to do this?
I mean, I'm not sure, really. I don't really know. I don't know where that all stems from.
Why would you? Okay, you don't know, but what do you think?
Well, I think that it's less so that they allow it. It's just more so. I think it starts with fathers that are either neglectful or aren't there in the woman's lives. Because you could probably see this from your own personal experience, and that's that women who come from traditional households or that have fathers that they respect, they get up to way less bullshit than women that don't, right? And I think that that's where it starts. It's just that they weren't supervised as children. They grew up with a mother who's like, oh, empowerment this, empowerment that. They have no father to tell her what the boundaries are and what her future husband will expect. And well, then that kind of flows towards the rest of it. And then the husband, boyfriend, whatever, they're being indoctrinated into the same kind of society. They're also being raised by the same kind of women that are telling them that, oh, this is okay, you should accept this. And then society is saying that, oh, women should be able to do whatever they want with their body. And well, now here's why we have all these problems.
You're right. So now when men get with these women, they already see, well, it's gonna be a struggle to try to get her out of this. So I would just rather avoid conflict as much as possible. Because if every woman in the world is saying you can't tell me what to do, boss bitch, independent, I don't need a man, me going against the grain is like talking to a brick wall,
Yeah.
you know. So that's what I believe. So double standards. To be honest, I agree with you with the court system. Um, I also look at it in a sense of like there's women out there who say they don't need men. I wouldn't need a man for this. I would raise my daughter to not need a man, but she might be getting alimony. She
Yeah.
might be getting government assistance, child support. So who's funding that? That's a man. So
Yeah.
a lot of people really don't really think in depth when they talk. Sometimes people actually lie more when they're in front of a camera and a microphone.
Yeah.
They put on a show. They want to sound like they're gangster or something. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
tough girls or tough guys. But they, on a technical aspect, like you need a man and you're still using a man. There's certain other double standards that I don't really mind. Um, because I know that there's double standards with us that, women don't mind. I mean, well, women do mind. So for me, I look at it like more men actually have it harder than women um because just how we were born to be. Like we have to be providers, we have to protect, we have to make a certain amount of money, we have to elevate in life, we have to be in shape, we have to do this. More likely women are inclined to not being able to handle the truth more than men. What other double standards you feel like you have an issue with?
Well, just to make sure we're on the same page, these double standards that I'm talking about, I don't actually care. Like, I'm just simply pointing out the idiocy from them. They don't affect me at all. I mean, I know how to ignore them. I know when I see somebody stupid, someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. So they don't bother me at all. I'm quite, content. I don't really care what other people do. But I will point out how ridiculous they are. That's something that I will do.
Yeah,
Now,
this go ahead.
so another one is that women, uh, like it's kind of going off of your previous point, right? Men are born with no value, but women are born with some value because they are women, just because they are women. So a kind of like a double standard would be that women are able to get into places that would typically be deemed as exclusive for the sole reason that they're women, whereas men are the ones that have to host those events and work their ass off to get there.
Well, yeah, I believe that women have value, um, but most of their value comes from men. I don't think this is just my ideology. This is a fact. You know, there's been an ideology for a long time, this phrase, pussy is power. But if the world was non-heterosexual, how would pussy be power?
Yeah, it's
Strippers,
not.
yes. So strippers are in business because men fund it. Escort facilities,
Yeah.
escort industries. You know what I'm saying? IG models. The term IG model probably was designed by a man. Social media was designed by a man. So it's like women are given their value from men, but women do have value, like being mothers, being able to carry a child for so long. Even though we create life, women carry it. Women are
Yeah.
more emotional. So if they channel that in a positive way, they can bring love to a lot of things. They're very attention to detail,
Hmm.
you know. But um, men have to elevate, like a guy that is overweight, ugly, can get ran down the mud. But if a woman is overweight and ugly, it's like, oh, girl, love your body and post it and this and that. And, she's unhealthy, but they're not going to say that. Oh, love your body, blah, blah, and all this other stuff. Like, this goes back to women being the cash cow in this
Yeah.
world. So we have to cater to them more. We have to be more sensitive to them because they're our customers.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what it really comes down to, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
Men have to earn their value. They have to put a stamp on this planet for women to want to engage with them, build a family and all that. Like, you don't look at women to build family because men are builders.
Hmm.
Women are gatherers, women are nurturers. Like, they don't build anything. Men are builders. So it's that's why for men, they're so hard on us. If we look at the suicide rate, more men are committing suicide than women. More men are incarcerated than women. So with the third wave feminists that say this is a patriarchy, blah blah blah, okay, that may be what you say, but how come more men have it difficult?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, like, this comes down to, we have to cater to our customers. We have to cater to women. Always have to be protected, provided for. They're weaker than we are, um, and that's what it comes down to. Like, me personally, I love a woman who knows her place. I
Yeah.
love a woman who will recognize that I am weaker. I am inferior. I can be
Yeah.
strong in certain aspects. Like, perhaps I'm
Yeah.
strong in cooking. Perhaps I'm strong in cleaning because I'm more emotional and that's ideal for me to do. You can't do that better than me. Okay, you're strong in that sense, but in in the totality, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially when she has a man, like, I love a woman like that who doesn't mind being inferior. It's actually counterintuitive for a woman, and it's actually a turnoff for a man to see a woman that's like, oh, I'm strong, I'm independent, trying to compete with you. Like men don't
Yeah.
like that. Do you like that?
No.
You
And
see what
I actually think that one of the problems that we have is that when we say these things, we're not saying them in an offensive way. Like, we love women that accept who they are and to play to their strengths. When we say stuff like we like women that know their place, or we like women that know their role, it's not meant to be offensive. We love feminine women. This is just how it is. We're not saying it in a derogatory way, but it seems like women take it in a derogatory way. It's like a
well,
miscommunication almost.
yeah, most women, because most women are just unhealed with extreme trauma that, they just haven't confronted yet. They carry that on to the next relationship, to the next life. They constantly carry that on. So with that being said, like, things that we say translate different in their head. And this could also be for men who are weak and have trauma as well. The way I'm talking, I might sound like a misogynist. You know what I'm saying? The way I'm talking or you're speaking, you might sound like, a misogynist, or you don't like women, or you're disrespectful, or you're hurt. But when I listen to you speak, you sound like you speak with conviction. You seem like you believe what you're saying, obviously, because you wouldn't be going on a platform saying the stuff that you're saying,
Yeah,
because what you're saying is something that is intense and could be have you be drinking dragged in the mud.
yeah,
So I can resonate with it because I look at things from all spectrums of the globe. But if some people aren't healed, which most women aren't healed, they will see it as that because things have changed. Where now, women could be anything they want, do anything they want. They don't have to be at home. They don't have to worry about a family. They could get their bag, focus on career, then worry about family later. This is what's been being fed to women. It's being spoon fed
yeah,
to them. Music, television, social constructs. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So we have a topic like this in season 10 premiere. Do you believe traditional relationships are dying and traditional men and women are non-existent?
Dying, yes. Non-existent, no. Because there are other people like you and I that are trying to bring it back, are trying to keep it relevant and teach people the right way to live. Because, like, let's be honest, the traditional way is the right way. It's the way that it's worked for a very long time. And we have the most chaotic society right now. And I think one of the big reasons is the fact that it's breaking apart because the traditional roles are disappearing and people are trying to be equal where we were never built to be equal. God made us different for a reason. We're meant to do the things that are made for us to do.
Yeah.
And for the other point of the non-existent, I don't think it'll ever get to that point, but it
Mm.
is certainly being affected. I think it's just because those kind of relationships are also becoming demonized. It's like it's part of the cultural shift that they're trying to push to separate men and women from each other. It's the same way in schools. Like when you look at the schooling system, they're realistically raising women exactly the same way as men. Go through school, don't focus on relationships, don't think about anybody else, focus on your studies, focus on your career. And this is what women are being taught. Even just in the intrinsic school systems, even if you take away social media, they are still being taught to be this way.
Is that going on in Ireland?
It is, yeah.
Well, I know other countries like China where that's not happening.
Yeah, and that's because they have more control of the people over there.
Hmm.
Some people think that. Well, obviously, look. Let me rephrase that before I say something heinous. Totalitarianism is obviously bad, but when you have a society that is more controlled, it typically goes better than ones that are allowed to go free. There needs to be a set of core values that everybody believes and that are kind of enforced, because when you give humanity too much freedom, they don't know what to do with it. Right? It's too much. Human beings need some form of control to be
And
able to
discipline.
function as a society. Exactly, and discipline. And if we don't have that, it breaks apart and people start creating their own communities and doing whatever the hell they want. And it's ruining them. So that, but I feel like there's no place on earth which kind of has this balance perfect between having control and not having control and giving people freedom.
Mhm.
But there is some kind of middle ground which exists somewhere. But as a whole, I actually think that a place which has a stronger, stricter government is better off than one that doesn't. I think, to me, it's like in a list of priorities, it's like the complete freedom is the worst. Uh, Less freedom is second, and then the best is when you have a perfect balance between the two. And I think that that's something that we need to strive towards.
Yeah, I concur. Do you believe men should go out there, or no, I'm sorry. Do you believe women should go out there and get their husbands?
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, to be honest. Like, actually, I remember I had a conversation with somebody about this a long time ago. Um, I'm not sure particularly on my current view of it now, but it was just an interesting point that was raised. It was, why is it that men propose to women? Like, we are the providers, we are the leaders, we are the ones that they should be after, not the other way around. And I thought that was an interesting point that was brought up. It's something to think about, at least. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree, but it's something to consider.
I was about to ask you that. Would you would you be okay with the woman proposing to you?
The thing is, like, I think it's just because of the way I was brought up, it just feels wrong. Like, it feels like more masculine to take your woman. But at the same time, it also seems kind of derogatory for a man to get on one knee and to say, like, here's all of this stuff that I'm providing to you. Will you be my wife? In my opinion, I should just be able to pick her up and take her. That's my wife now.
Like
Why
a
do I have to
Viking?
propose?
Like a Viking?
Exactly. That's just like, I have claimed my territory. I have claimed what I believe that I deserve, and I'm just going to take her. I don't think I should be getting down on one knee and pleading and begging and being happy when somebody says
Well,
yes. Like, I
well,
think that that's embarrassing. Why
well,
would you be happy? You shouldn't be with a woman that
well,
would say no.
well, the reason they do that is because that's a display of submission. See, the man is pretty much telling the woman, I'm gonna be submissive to you for the rest of my life. Happy wife, happy life. So
Hmm.
that's what they put out there. I'm never gonna do that. I said this also in episode 51. We could be sitting next to each other and I look over at you and I say, you're gonna be my wife, yes or no. You know what I'm saying? Here's the ring. Like I'm not doing that. Never will do that.
I
Um,
agree. I think I'm gonna do it the same way. I just find it
so
weird to get
so
down
I,
on one knee.
yeah, so I don't believe that women should walk up to the men um that they want. I'm also been raised in a traditional household. I broke away from a lot of the traditions that both my parents are. They're both reverends. I broke away from that, but I still have a lot of traditional values. And I always believe that the man should lead. Even in the Bible and the Holy Quran, it says the same thing. Man is the head. Whether you make more money than him, whether he makes more money than you, whether he's paying all the bills, y'all going 50-50, it doesn't matter. The man is always the head, no matter what. Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we take all that stuff away. We're men and women. A burglar comes in here, he's hiding behind you. You guys go out in public. What? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
A man's job is always to provide and protect. And provide doesn't always mean monetary
yeah,
because a man could be paying all the bills and he could still be a bitch.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, man is always to be the head because this goes back to gender roles. So the man saying that I want you to be my wife and choosing his partner, that's a masculine thing. So if the woman is doing it, she's pretty much saying that she's gonna be in the masculine role.
Mhm.
I don't believe women claim men. They could visually claim him. Hey girl, that's Zaddy right there. Look at him. He looks good.
Yeah.
Hey, that's gonna be my baby daddy soon. That's gonna be my husband in the future. She could verbally claim him, but at the end of the day, she could say to that man, "Yo, I want you to be mine," and he could say, "No, it's not
Yeah.
happening." You see what I'm saying? But most
Yeah.
likely, because women, we said earlier, are more agreeable, and when they see that, when they see the character and the swag, everything about you that they love, they're inclined to following your lead. You know, women are inclined to, hey, you're off today. I'm off today. You have all day to get ready for me. I want you to get your hair done, nails done. I got reservations at this place. I'm coming to pick you up at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock means 7 o'clock, not 7:05. So make sure you're ready. Women love that.
Yeah.
Even the most hardcore feminist loves that. That's a
Yeah.
masculine thing. You're pursuing her. So if the woman is pursuing the man, she's getting out of her feminine role. You know, so you might believe it's okay, but you would never want that.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't believe, and what happens often is most women that get to this CEO position, they have to be like a man to get to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They weren't meek and soft spoken and whatever. They had their foot on necks and slitting throats.
Yeah.
So they had to be like a man to get that. So because they work so much like a man, I'm going to talk about this in next season. They almost metaphorically smell like a man. They move like a
Hmm.
man. So
Yeah.
they believe that they could get everything they want because that's how a man thinks. Like in Scarface, Tony Montana said, "The world is mine, or the world is yours, and everything in it."
Yeah.
So most women that get to this position or elevate in life, they believe that they could do all this stuff. But now it comes back to science and biology that we can't fight. So you could
Hmm.
go out there and try to get your husband because you feel like you're a boss bitch and you got the money now. And because you have that money is power. But it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
I mean, that's why we don't like women who are very successful typically and a woman that makes a lot of money. It has nothing to do with being intimidated. It just has to do with that she has certain characteristics that are unappealing and unattractive to me now. Because
Yeah.
to get to the point that she got to, she needs to be like a man. And I
Yeah.
don't want to date a man.
Unless you get with that woman and you're willing to train and you can be a great communicator. You know how to articulate like you did what you like and what you don't like, your boundaries, and she can make an adjustment to that. Most men aren't like us. You know what I'm saying? They weren't like taught to adapt that because remember, growing up, I know especially in my household, men were just taught to keep their feelings to themselves. So women are constantly trying to find out, well, what's going on with men? How do they think? How can we get validation from them? How can we serve them more? How can we be more submissive? Women want to be submissive, they do,
Yeah.
but it's just trying to find the right person. That's the problem with them for them, you know. But they want to be in their role, even the most butch CEO, whatever it is. So if a man can approach that woman and say, listen, all that alpha stuff is cool, but when you're in here, leave that shit outside, throw it in the garbage, because if not, we're not going to work. And this is why, blah, 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 blah. You see what
Yep.
I'm saying? And then she makes that adjustment. If she's into you and she sees a future and you can elevate her and do all these things and maybe great sex and you're a provider and all that, promise you, she's gonna make the adjustment.
Yeah.
So it's
I
it's
agree.
not it's not hard. It just comes down to men just being men because women have been destroyed. You know what I'm saying? This goes back to
Yeah.
what we were saying earlier. We both agreed. Women are more inclined to following. You know what I'm saying? That's why
Yeah.
they're in more universities than men because it's easy to just follow directions.
Yeah.
So if you're a man and you're comfortable in being that way, and you could lead and you're confident in your abilities, you can change any woman. And
Yeah.
the woman who is incorrigible, you're not afraid to walk away from her and let her regret you. because she's
Yep.
not gonna probably find like you.
This is exactly the situation in my life with my girlfriend as well. It hits hard when I hear another person say those things to me because it's like you're describing my life.
Yeah, but she's in your age bracket. She's 20 also.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
little bit older, but yeah.
you're still young, but your mindset is invigorating for me because like you kind of remind me of myself when I was 20 years old. I got 16 years over you,
Hmm.
36. So, you kind of remind me of myself when I was your age. But what like elevated you to this? Like, did you have mentors in your life? Did you play sports besides the home?
I actually just did a lot of self reflection my entire life. I've had periods of severe like downs in my life. I suffered through like a year long depression as well. I had an abusive girlfriend before who, like, genuinely abusive because she had a bunch of mental disorders that were diagnosed. Um, so I've, like, since then, since the moment that I broke out of the depression, since then, I figured there's no way I could ever be depressed again. It's not possible because the things that I've realized after getting out were so important. And ever since, I've spent every day just growing my mindset and self-reflecting on every single thing I do, everything that happens to me. I've never went out to party. I don't drink. I don't take any drugs. I don't do any of that. I spend a lot of time in solitude because I like to learn and grow. And I only ever surround myself with people who are better than me, who could help elevate me. And that's one of the most important things. Mostly to me, I think it's self reflection, but having people there that you can trust, that you can communicate with, that have similar opinions to you and that can elevate you, people, especially people that are older than you. Most of the people that I know in my life are at least 5 years older than me. Those are the only people that I learn from.
Yeah. And that's a good way to overcome that because us men we go through stuff and we don't deal with it. We don't talk about it. We go in our man cave and unwind or whatever. Um Sometimes we'll be shamed for it. Like some women they'll say, some women, not all, oh, we want a man to be emotional and vulnerable and stuff, and then still go back maybe during an argument and bring it back towards you and
Yeah,
say and shame you or whatever,
yeah.
or you understand what I'm saying? Like if women want men to be superior than them, then why would they want to project their feelings to kind of like mold you like a woman?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's not like it's counterintuitive, I
You know,
believe.
I actually came up across sorry. I actually came up against all odds as well because I actually grew up without a father in the home either. So, if anything, people can really take an example from me that you can still be masculine, you could still have that control over yourself and control of your environment no matter what your situation is.
So why do you believe that men are being feminized and women are being masculinized?
Again, it goes back to the previous point where I think there's just somebody who's trying to cause a divide between us. I imagine a lot of it has to do with capitalism, honestly, because ever since feminism became a thing and women went out to work, like realistically, what happened is uh, the workforce doubled and but people weren't paid anymore. It's like your salaries got cut in half and the workforce doubled. So, I mean, it's a great thing for the corporate world. Not so great when you come from a household which now you can't raise your own kids because you don't have the funds to do so. Whereas before, when you had a designated person who stayed at home, in terms of the mother, she could at least take care of the kids. But now what happened? It's like the husband gave her half the salary and threw her out to do 8 hours of work every day as well. It just doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with a lot of what you said. The economy, money, taking the man out of the home, whether it's society or Hey, some women have a biological clock and then they manipulate to get the baby, and the man is not ready, and he dips out, so now you're a single mother, not by choice, but he left you, so you have to do it on your own, um in that sense. And now women are raising soft men because they can't be both. There isn't enough education out there on masculinity for men to take and grow from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Male mentors. Like, even if you didn't have a father in your life, like, look what you said. Like, you surround yourself around people who are doing better than you, who think um um like yourself, or have a higher consciousness. Um, like they say, lions, if you want to be a lion, train with lions. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of men are not, really taking it upon themselves to elevate in life. They don't know their value and their worth, you know. And that's what I believe. So this ideology that you adapted, right? Like, when did this come about?
I think the starting point was after I got out of depression. Since then, it's just kind of been more and more worked on. It's like from then I kind of had an understanding that like I need to just be able to understand my emotions and suppress them to be able to get anything done in life. I can't let something else control me, especially not if that thing is me. You know, so that like getting out of that depressive cycle was the breakthrough where I understood that I can't let my emotions control my life. And since then it kind of just progressed.
So what did you do to get out of those things? Like, did you find a hobby? Were you going to the gym? Were you working two jobs? Were you keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, busyness was the most important thing, and I recommend that for anybody. I think a lot of today's problems and the reason why so many people have mental health issues is because they don't have shit to do. I
Mm,
think like everybody's complaining about life being so hard nowadays, but I think life is too easy because if it was hard, you wouldn't have time to complain about all the shit that you do. So staying busy is definitely important. Being physical as well. We were built to be physical. We don't go and exercise much anymore. It's a crucial part of life is to go exercise. So yeah, I mean, pretty much exactly everything you named.
mhm,
Started working a lot, picked up hobbies, went to the gym. I did all of that, and
mhm.
that's kind of what helped me. I got some kind of realization that I'm like, okay, I need to get my life together, and then I did all of that, and that was the end of the depression. And I genuinely don't think that I could ever feel that way again. I think it's impossible.
A woman's biggest asset is estrogen. A man's biggest asset is testosterone. So if you are going to the gym, eating right, getting enough sunlight, sleeping, getting adequate sleep, um, you know, perhaps meditating, reading, that's another muscle, your brain. Um, you are staying busy on your purpose. You increase your testosterone. So that's another reason why men are being feminized, because it could be the technology, it could be the not going to the gym, not finding activities, not finding their purpose, all of those things, the stuff that they're absorbing, the stuff that they're being projected upon them, spoon fed, for them to believe that how they should be, especially with the opposite sex. You have a lot of men, and I've heard this from women, even the most thug-ish of men will be extremely soft when they fall in love.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So there's boundaries there. It's okay to be a bit vulnerable with your woman, and to be soft or kind, but there's boundaries. You can still be soft with your woman and be masculine and be dominant and be the leader.
Yeah.
Being soft, what most how it happened with most men is they say, "Oh, she's the boss. She wears the pants. She can peg me in the bedroom." You see what I'm saying? Like you could still give her that soft side of you because she's earned
Yeah.
that kindness because she's earned that. Like other women don't get to see that because they haven't earned their position. You see what I'm saying? So men actually need to go out there and recalibrate and reevaluate themselves and realize that they're the prize. You're the one with the dick. You're the one that is gonna give her a child if she needs that. You're the one that's gonna elevate and lead. You're the one that's gonna be the protector. You understand? She's always gonna come to you for those things instinctively, subconsciously. You know what I'm saying? Hey, baby, your girl might come to you tomorrow. Hey, baby, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go eat? She's not comfortable making decisions. Her
Yeah.
decisions are going to be based off emotion. But if she knows that you are less emotional than she is, she can come to you for those things.
Yeah.
You see, so men have to actually lead more with conviction and know their worth. That's what it starts from, knowing your worth. So if society's just like, oh, men, shut up, just shut up and dribble, shut up and play football, just shut up and do this. Don't have an opinion. You can't say that. You men just do that and they stay in their place. But if
Yeah.
you know your value as a man, if you know what you're gonna bring women, you bring a different level of confidence.
Yeah.
And these dominant men come in all shapes and sizes. You don't have to be 6'8" and 280 pounds and
Hmm.
have six figures in the bank,
Yeah.
millions in the bank to be able to be like this.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, one of the old,
this inner consciousness comes from working on yourself, working from
yeah,
within.
absolutely.
Because I don't give a damn. I could walk up to a woman that is a celebrity that makes eight figures and I could get her. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I could get her.
Yeah.
So if you have that confidence as a man, like think in your mind, eradicate everything about that woman, her accolades, her money, her Chanel shoes, her Gucci bag. Who gives a damn?
Yep.
At the end of the day, she's a human being.
Yep.
You see? So, um, do you have any final thoughts?
No,
Disputes?
not really. I mean, you pretty much laid it all out there. You said everything that there needs to be said.
Yeah, man. I'm a fan of your page. Started following you. I see you growing it. Um, Looking to talk to you more in the future. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that
saying?
that sounds great.
Especially for the BDSM because I know you mentioned that off camera.
Hmm.
Um, you say what I do is unique on my show, especially incorporating the BDSM thing. So I could appreciate that. But if that's something you want to get into, we could definitely discuss that.
Sure.
Could
We
definitely
could talk
discuss
about
that.
that another time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, man, I know it's late over there because you're in Ireland. I really appreciate you giving me your time. Time is valuable. You can't get that back, and I respect
Yeah.
everybody's time.
Well, I respect yours too, and thank you very much for having me on your
Yeah.
show.
We're gonna be in contact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
I like what you're doing. Especially in for your age, how you think. So we're definitely gonna be talking. Like I said, I got a clothing line coming up, so it's gonna be worldwide. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna send you the link and
Sure.
it's gonna be crazy. I'm dropping it first week of January. I'm making the announcement.
Hmm.
So check out the website and everything like that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look forward to bringing you back on. We could talk about different topics, especially BDSM because a lot of this stuff is incorporated in there. I believe like a dominant or a master, especially in the BDSM life, is the highest level of masculinity, like divine masculinity. A man could be or elevate to be. But we'll definitely get into it more.
Yeah, sounds
Once
good.
again, I appreciate you coming on. If you
Yeah,
want to shout
thank.
out anything like your social media, TikToks, Instagrams.
Sure, yeah, just my Instagram page, Dev Huldra. Should be pretty easy to find.
All right, cool, cool,
DEVHULDRA.
cool, cool. All right. So thank you once again for joining me on this discipline therapy podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, it was your discipline therapy podcast. Peace.